What's going on, everybody? Cowboy C3. If you guys like the show, please like and subscribe. Know it's been a while. We haven't been on here in a minute, but we've been having some life things going on. But we got everything back on track and we're ready to go. So tonight we'll talk about a little bit of Cowboy news, talk some Dak Prescott, talk some roster stuff, and then we're gonna talk a lot about who the Cowboys should pick with this 12th pick. I have an idea. I think it'll work. Let's talk about it here next on Cowboy Spit.
Here we go! Yeah, here we go! Wait, take
Cowboys Spit.
Throws back of the end zone. There's CeeDee
What's going on, everybody? Cowboy C3. It's good to be back. It feels really good to be back. Miss doing this stuff, and I plan on doing it from now on. So I just appreciate everybody that stuck with me, and thank you very much. So now the Cowboy Spit. Cowboys have been, sort of busy but quiet at the same time. It's been kind of interesting in Cowboy land. They haven't really been tipping their hat on who they're going to pick with this 12th pick. Most of the things that they've been talking about is the Micah Parsons contract. And Micah Parsons is due to make a lot of money. And there are some reports that are saying that Micah Parsons will be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history here in the next couple of weeks. But nothing official. It's just always rumor has it, sources from the Cowboys say this. There hasn't been any contract talks that have been publicized in any way, any way, shape, or form. Kind of the same way it went quiet right before Dak Prescott got signed. Kind of the same way. There was no talks, no anything in the media about Dak Prescott having contract negotiations, but there was always the know that negotiations were necessary because you didn't want him to play out his contract year and then he ends up going somewhere like Vegas where they can pay him $65 million a year. Every time Jerry goes quiet like this, they're talking about something. Something is about to happen. And I got a feeling it's just going to be this Parsons contract. And I believe that he'll make a lot of money. Does he deserve it? I think so. He's a special player. He's a talented individual. He gives you things that no other player in the NFL can give you. He's a 4-3 40 guy that plays defensive end, that can play linebacker. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He has to show up in big games. He has to. Just like the entire team has to show up in big games. Just like your quarterback has to show up in big games. That's something that they're going to have to improve on. But for some reason, I think they're headed in the right direction this year. Everything was different. In free agency, they didn't really tackle it with the names that some of us thought that they would tackle it with. But everything that we asked them to do, they kind of did it. They got involved early. They got involved often. They filled some roster holes that they needed to fill. It's kind of what we asked them to do. It just wasn't the names that we asked them to do it with. You understand what I'm saying? But they did it, right? They did something that they haven't done in the previous years, is they got involved in free agency and they got involved fairly quickly. Good job. It's kind of what we asked them to do. It just wasn't splashy, right? Well, in order for you to be splashy, you had to open up some salary cap room, which you did that. But I'm pretty sure that you opened up a lot of that salary cap room just so you could sign Micah Parsons. And he'll take a bundle of that space that you have left. So, we'll see. And I think we'll see here soon what's going on. Dak Prescott's been working out a lot. And he's been working out, up the road from here. It looks like he's working out over at Salina High School. And he looks good. He looks like he's lost a lot of weight. Jake Ferguson made a joke the other day, said it looked like he's lost about 50 pounds. Dak had this to say about him training, off season, how it's going for him, his rehabilitation, and what we can look forward to with him for this next season.
You talked about the rehab process and the hamstring. Where are you with the hamstring?
Yeah, I'm getting close to where I want to be. I don't want to put a percentage on it. Know we've got team activities coming up. Imagine myself being involved in some sort, if not all. But then again, understanding right, my age, what I had, what I've went through is it's about getting to the fall and being my best in the fall. So not rushing anything, but I'm where I want to be.
Hoping to play all 17 games. What are your thoughts on hoping to remain as mobile as you've been throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Me playing my best, I'm mobile, whether it's actually running past the line of scrimmage or it's just scrambling, making plays happen with my arm. So that's vital for me. That's a big part of this. And yeah, I've been running more. Obviously, you've got to when you're rehabbing a hamstring. So it's about just staying on that trend of just getting better, staying mobile, but doing it while feeling healthy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all over social media. We're seeing you throwing, and your body looks different.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the work that I've put into it. Unfortunately, I've been through this process of recovering from injuries before that. I embrace it. And I know that a better version of me is on the other side. And so that's just the way that I've approached this whole offseason, this whole rehab process. And in the sense of that, as I said, I've moved weight around more than I've lost weight. But I feel great. Getting very, very close to where I want to be.
So, mobility has always been a concern with Dak, especially here in these last couple of years. And he said he's moved some weight around. He's working on his mobility, especially with the hamstring injury. Now, the Cowboys quarterback room got really, really thin over this offseason. Cooper Rush went to Baltimore, and then Trey Lance signed. He finally signed with the LA Chargers, which left no quarterback in the room. Well, other than Will Greer, it's Dak Prescott, an injured Dak Prescott, a guy that seems to be injury prone, Dak Prescott. So the Cowboys must have listened to Cowboys spit, and they go out and trade a 5th-round draft pick for Joe Milton. And I'm a Joe Milton fan. I like Joe Milton. Joe Milton, I feel like last year would have been a middle to low round, 1st-round pick. Super talented, live arm. There's some reports of him throwing the football 85, 90 yards down the field. And if you go on YouTube and look, like the dude throws, he can put the ball down the field a long way. Struggle with some accuracy things, but if you go back and look at him in college, he was an accurate guy, and he's not Lamar Jackson for sure. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's like Justin Herbert mobile. You know what I'm saying? He can run, he can move. He's a big guy, about 6'5", about 235, 240 pounds. Big dude. I'm a big fan of Joe Milton. Hey, Kid Cowboy, I didn't think he was going to get a job, man, but he got one. He's going back up behind Justin Herbert. I think it's a good move for him. I think he can go somewhere and he can learn a little bit, and possibly, get an opportunity to play. If Herbert gets hurt, we'll see. Joe Milton brings a dynamic that the Cowboys haven't had at a quarterback position in a long time. You paid a 5th-round pick to get him. I don't think that New England wanted to get rid of him. I think that Drake May drafting him in the 1st round, and Milton hurt his knee late in the season. And that's the reason why he wasn't drafted higher than what he was. Reports say that Drake May's family was not comfortable with Joe Milton being drafted and being on the roster with their son. Now, whoever he is, however he's related to his family. Now, I can see that because Joe forms a threat. Like he's got a big live arm. He can move around in the pocket. He extends plays. He does a lot of things well, right? But he's raw. He's extremely raw. And I think he'll come here and he'll learn behind Dak for a few years. And I think that he gets an opportunity. I'm not sure about that, Kid Cowboy. I'm not. Josh Dobbs is a journeyman at best, and he's getting a little bit up there in the age. And yeah, I'm not a big Josh Dobbs fan, not at all. Milton gives you a lot of things, a lot of positive things. I believe Dak will tutor him. And I believe, especially with history, the way history has gone these last couple of years, I believe you may see Joe Milton during the regular season. Does that mean that? Okay. Josh Dobbs beat us once. He beat us with Arizona. He played quarterback for Tennessee later on in the season, but they beat Tennessee. And it wasn't Josh Dobbs that beat us. It was James Conner. James Conner rushed for about 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we couldn't. That's when the Cowboys found out last season that they couldn't stop the run. Found that out week 3 against Arizona. So, no, Josh Dobbs didn't beat us. James Conner did. So, I just believe that Milton will give you a positive in the locker room. I think he'll give you a young body in the quarterback room for sure. He'll get some tutelage under Dak, and hopefully he can sit down until this Dak Prescott contract is up, and then we'll see what happens. Right? We'll see. But I just think Josh Dobbs. I think Joe Milton gives you an early round talent. You didn't have to pay a lot for it. You gave up a 5th round pick, which you have 2 for 5th round picks, so you're just down to 1. And he gives you some dynamic that you don't have, right? 2 teams, clock ran out. Twice Seattle 50 yards away. You're going to have to show me that, because I remember him playing in Arizona, being the backup quarterback, and I remember him winning. And then I remember him getting traded to Tennessee, and he played against us, and they played well, but they lost. Just is what it is. Anywho, so there is this talk about Jerry Jones having this infatuation with Travis Hunter. And I mean, I get it. It was funny because last night on my group podcast, on the Man Down podcast, I got into this conversation with this guy that was sending, he was sending chats in over, through YouTube. And he was saying that Travis Hunter wasn't very good. and, and the whole panel kind of laughed at him, and we were trying to figure out where he came from. He said that his reason for him not being very good was that he's not the best at the positions that he plays. So first of all, this dude plays 2 positions at an elite level, and there hasn't been anybody in college football in a long time that's been able to do this, right? But he's top 3 in both of those positions. I can argue that he's the best receiver in the draft because he probably is the best wide receiver in the draft. There's a difference between him and Tatora McMillan. Difference is just speed and the ability to get open. Travis Hunter can blow the roof off. He can beat you on a slant. He can beat you coming across the middle. He can beat you any way, shape, or form he wants to do at wide receiver. But he can also shut down your best receiver. And that's why he's the best player in the draft. Travis Hunter is ranked the number 1 player coming out of college, right now. Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, and Mason Graham and Ashton Genty, of course, round out your top 5, with Shedeur Sanders right behind him at 6. Travis Hunter is the best player in this draft. Travis Hunter is probably the best player in a whole lot of drafts if you look back in the past. He's a special guy. I don't think that there's any way, shape, or form that the Cowboys could get him. The only way that you could possibly get him is if you trade up to 2 or 3 and you completely just trade away your future. And I don't know if it's worth all that. You would probably have to give up this 1st round pick. I don't even think you could swap. I think you would have to give it up. I think you would have to probably give up next year's 1st round pick and probably a 2nd or a 3rd pick next year as well. I don't know if he's worth that, right? I don't know. Is he good? Yes. Will he? If it was me, I would play him at corner, and I would put him against good wide receivers, and eventually I'm putting him against your number 1 wide receiver, and then I'm playing him on 3rd down at wide receiver, and he's going to get 3 or 4 touches every game. That's the way I would play it. Had a guy on the panel last night said that Travis Hunter's going to catch. He's going to have 900 yards receiving, and he's going to have 4 picks. It's crazy. That is a lot. That's a lot. He's very, 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 very good. And I can argue that he's better than Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. I can argue this. I can argue it very well because Travis Hunter gives you a dynamic at wide receiver, and then he will flip around and give you dynamic play at corner as well. There you go. I mean, this was an argument that the guy had last night. It's funny, right? That's funny. That's a crazy argument. He played in the Big 12. That's where he played. He stood out in the Big 12. He stood out so much that he was voted the best player in the country. Why was he voted the best player of the country? Because he was the best player in the country. He played wide receiver at an elite level, and then he turned around and played cornerback at an elite level. And he did it the entire football game, for not just one game, for every single football game that he played with. Every single game. And you can call it hype if you want to, but I promise you that there's a whole lot of people in this world, including yourself, that probably can't go out and play a full court basketball game right now. But this dude is running, banging, everything, playing wide receiver and cornerback at the highest level of college football that you possibly can. Excuse me, the highest level of amateur football that you probably can, that there is in the world. And he's doing it at an elite level on both sides of the football. You're going to really, really, really have to have a strong, strong argument that is just hype. Hype. You said, who did they beat? My question would be, who beat Travis Hunter, and who did he beat? He would cover your best receiver on the field and then turn around and be the best receiver on the field. It is hard for you to argue that is just hype. You have to have a stronger argument than who did they play, or nobody, or name me a team that they beat. They went 10-2 last year. They beat a lot of teams. BYU smoked them. Travis Hunter had 186 yards receiving in that game. And BYU's best receiver had 4 catches. You have to make a better argument than this. You have to. You're talking about a team. You're talking about a team that played 1-12 football before Deion Sanders got there, and now they're playing in the Alamo Bowl with an 11-2 record. 10-3. You have to really, 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 really make a strong argument that is just hype. For both situations, for Travis Hunter and for Colorado, you have to make an argument. And you saying 2 years they beat nobody is not a valid argument. It's not. I'm sorry. Back to the Cowboys. So the Cowboys will have to give up a whole lot to get Travis Hunter. And I don't know if that is something that they are willing to do. But what I do know is that they have some holes that they're going to have to fill. Even though through free agency, you didn't really addressed the running back position. You did, and you brought in Javonte Williams, and you also brought in Miles Sanders, in which I said an episode or two ago that would be a really, really, really good move 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That would have been an excellent move 2 or 3 years ago, but not now. So you still have this wide receiver thing that you're going to have to fill up. You've got a wide receiver hole. You've got a number 2 wide receiver hole that you're going to have to fill, and that's probably something that you're going to have to fill extremely fast. There's some free agent guys say, give me one good team. You can't. you can't give me a reason why Travis Hunter is hype. You can't. You're talking about a team. I'm talking about an individual player that's about to get drafted in the first 3 picks in the NFL draft. That's ranked the number 1 player that's in the NFL draft. And your argument is that the team beat nobody. That's pretty bad. That is tomato cans. Okay. You're right. I'll give you that. They beat tomato cans. They beat 11 of them, though. Anyway, they touched defensive line. They touched some edge rushers. Touched the linebacker. Definitely got some inside linebackers. And, they touched some offensive line positions, but one thing that they didn't really touch in free agency was your skill positions. You got a quarterback, right? You got a backup quarterback, and that's a good thing. You got two running backs that have been serviceable in the NFL, used to be very, very good. And there's some question, if maybe Javonte Williams is still pretty good. Miles Sanders, I'm not so sure. But wide receiver position, cornerback position, you really haven't touched a lot on that at all. You haven't, not in free agency. So you're gonna have to touch it in the draft. You don't have a choice, right? So the consensus is they won 9 games, all tomato cans. Look it up. Okay, so you still haven't answered the direct question that I asked you. You keep talking you keep talking about a team, and I'm talking about an individual player. That's what I'm talking about. You still haven't answered that question. That's all you keep talking about is Colorado and who did they beat. And you're talking about a corner or a wide receiver beating somebody. You got to come with a better argument. Got to come with a better argument than that. Now, somebody to stand on topic. Kirby Allen says we need a running back, and I don't disagree with you. And if you look on the cover, on the thumbnail, on the beginning of the video, I showed you a running back. I showed you 2. And there's a lot of talk, of course, about Ashton Jeanty, and there's some discussion on whether he'll even be available in the draft. Now, I think that all depends on where Shedeur Sanders goes. I believe that. I think that Shedeur Sanders could go anywhere from Cleveland down to Vegas. And I don't think that he makes it past Vegas. And I think Vegas drafts either 6th or 7th in the draft. I don't think he makes it past that far. A lot of people have Jeanty tied to Vegas, right? And there's some things that you have to consider. So Ashton Jeanty last year had a phenomenal year, but he had a really good college career. Last year, he rushed 374 times, 2,601 yards, which is crazy. 7 yards a carry, 29 touchdowns. But if we're going by Kid Cowboy, it doesn't matter because he played all tomato cans. Those yards don't count. So Jeanty is a phenomenal running back, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal guy. He's got a lot of strengths, right? And you can see some of those here. He runs low to the ground with a wide base. His feet are fast. He's got good vision. Trust play design and won't come out of the track without a good reason. That's something that you look for in a running back. But one of his biggest weaknesses, and what is said that one of his biggest weaknesses is something that the Cowboys have to take into consideration, is that his pass blocking is not consistent. And you have to protect your quarterback, man. You have to. You have to protect your quarterback. And that is something that you are going to have to take into consideration if you're going to draft Ashton Jeanty. He's a shorter guy, 215. But one thing that the Cowboys do is they bring running backs in that aren't very good in pass protection. However, they consistently get better. Tony Pollard was a prime example. Tony Pollard, early in his career, he was horrendous at pass blocking. Horrendous at pass protection, excuse me. But once he got acclimated into the game and once he got acclimated into the system, he became a lot better at it. Amari Hampton is another guy that a lot of people are interested in, and I'm super interested in him too. 6 foot, 220 pounds, big guy, rushed for 1,660 yards, 5.9 yards an average, and 15 touchdowns. Now, what makes that interesting for me is that his junior year, he rushed 253 times for 1,504 yards, 5.9 yards an average, and 15 touchdowns. His junior and senior year almost mirrored each other. He got a couple more carries his senior year, averaged the same, still scored the same amount of touchdowns. Received the ball out of the backfield more at his senior year than he did his junior year, and had another receiving touchdown. But the difference to me with him from his junior year and his senior year is this. His junior year, he had Drake May, and everybody knew that he had Drake May. His senior year, when he came out, it was Amari and Hampton, and that's it. That's all they had on offense, and you still couldn't stop it. He still went for 1,500, and he still went for 15 touchdowns. That's what was the most impressive thing to me about between his junior and his senior year. Super duper good running back. Some of his strengths. He's a big guy with an impressive chisel physique. Sudden lateral movement, displays adequate burst. He's a track runner. He's just a phenomenal athlete, and he catches the ball out of the backfield extremely well. His weakness, one speed, long strider with a limited one cut ability and slow vision to diagnose lane development and change of pace running backs, right? So he's one of those type of guys. He's one cut, he's out of there, right? And if it opens up for him, great. If it doesn't, it's just going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Kind of seen that before. If you go and watch him play, he reminds you a lot of a young Ezekiel Elliott. That's what he looks like to me. Kind of got some Saquon Barkley in him because he kind of does that little rugby stutter step thing. Phenomenal athlete, though. Phenomenal. Super interested in Torrey McMillan. And I think a lot of people were interested in him for the wrong reasons for a while, right? Because it was his speed. He looked very, very good with bad quarterback play in Arizona. He did. He's a big guy, 6'5", 212 pounds, had 2 phenomenal seasons. His junior year was better than his senior year. Phenomenal, sophomore year was better than his junior year. It's phenomenal wide receiver, great guy, super duper agile, especially for his height, but his speed was always in question. Then he went out in his pro day and he ran a 4.57 and a 4.53. Is that blazing speed? No. But at 6'5", 212 pounds, and he looks a little bit bigger than that now. He looks like he's probably about 220. I can deal with that. He instantly takes pressure off CD Lamb. He does. He takes the pressure off CD Lamb. He's a rangy guy. He turns 50-50 balls into 60-40 balls. That's what he does. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I like the idea. I love the idea of filling the wide receiver hole in the first round. I do. However, I just don't want the team to be a 45 pass attempts a game type of football team. I just don't think that that's conducive to winning for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think that's the formula for success. 30 to 35 times, balanced offense, running the football is, just as much as you're passing. You're going to throw the ball a little bit more, but I'm looking, 55-45 split, 60-40 on a bad day. Like, you have to be able to establish some type of running game, and establishing that type of running game will keep your quarterback on his feet, right? Torrey McMillan's linear release makes it tough to elude press, doesn't create much separation, right? And that's one of the things that he is going to – you've seen a lot of these big wide receivers have trouble in the NFL because they don't get separation, right? Because they don't get separation. Well, you're about to be disappointed with me. So – it's funny. Okay, Kid Cowboy, you're going to have to stop with these comments because Jonathan Mingo has not caught an NFL touchdown yet. In 4 years, he hasn't caught a touchdown. You come on, man. You this is insane. Like, you have to stop. If you're going to say something on here, at least, state a fact. You have to do that. A guy that the Cowboys seem to be super duper interested in is Matthew Golden. And Matthew Golden is an excellent wide receiver from the University of Texas. He definitely knows how to get open, and he gives you lots of speed, lots and lots of speed, lots of speed. And this is amazing. He said Bryce Young was his quarterback. Well, that's funny because Bryce Young threw probably 18, 20 touchdowns his first year. Last year, I think he threw 28 touchdowns, and Mingo couldn't catch any of them. That's amazing. And literally, when he came to the Cowboys, they literally put him in the red zone and threw Cooper Rush through every single pass in the red zone to him, and he still couldn't catch a touchdown because he don't get separation. He just doesn't. But Matthew Golden can. Matthew Golden, 4'3", 140 guy, gives you a lot of dynamic ability, a whole lot of dynamic ability. He gives you quickness. He gives you route running. He gives you, deep threat. He can be a possession receiver if he has to be, because Isaiah Bond was really kind of your deep threat, but Matthew Golden still kind of mixed himself in there and made some catches. And then when he got to be the number one guy, he came out, ran a 4.29 40, and just did some amazing things on the football field. Now, his biggest weakness, route running can be nonchalant and unfocused. One thing, and I tried to figure out, and I really dug into this one, because all the other weaknesses are things that you see in receivers that they can, when they start to perfect their craft once they come to the NFL, they just get better. But I really wanted to see what they were talking about with this. So I went and I looked at a lot of film, and I can understand where they're coming from. If the ball is not designed to come to him, if it is a play designed for another wide receiver on the field, he is not going to run the route hard. And you know that the ball is not coming to him. You can tell that. But that's an attitude. That's something that he's going to have to work on. That's something that NFL, in the NFL, they probably won't put up with a lot of that, even though you have some superstar wide receivers that do it. But that's things that can be worked out. So the question that I have, that I asked myself, and we have a draft show coming up real soon, is what do I think that the Cowboys will do with the 12th pick? And I base my criteria on this. If all four players that I mentioned are available, which one would they pick first? And I think they would pick Ashton Jeanty first. I truly believe that. But I know that there's a big possibility that Ashton Jeanty is gone. There's also a smaller possibility that Tatora McMillan is gone as well. What do you do? Do you pick a wide receiver or do you pick a running back? And my opinion, and we'll see if my opinion is right, my opinion is that you pick a wide receiver first. And the reason that you pick a wide receiver first is there's some running backs in the second and third round that you can get that are maybe not as dynamic, if you will, as Ashton Jeanty, but they give you the same type of play, and they will bring you stability to that position. You've got both running backs from Ohio State, and I'm a big fan of RJ Harvey from Central Florida. Humongous fan. He gives you size, he gives you speed, he gives you agility, he gives you everything that you want in a running back, and a lot of teams don't, and a lot of mock drafts don't have him going to the third or fourth round. I would pick a wide receiver in the first round. And if Tatora McMillan is available, I would pick him. It seems like they're going to pick Matthew Golden. And it seems like they're going to pick Matthew Golden because he gives you 4.2 speed that you don't have on your roster. Well, you do have it. You just can't use it, because I don't know if you think that Kevontae Turpin is too small, or, you can't, you're just not creative enough to scheme him open. But Matthew Golden would go out there as the number 2 wide receiver, and Matthew Golden would give you that speed, and he would give you the ability to blow the roof off the game at any moment in time. He also gives you the ability to take the double coverage off of CeeDee Lamb, and that makes the offense even more dangerous. In the second round, I would probably pick a defensive end or defensive lineman, something in that nature, right? And then the third round is when I go get my RJ Harvey. And he would give you the big running back with the same size as Amari Hampton. I think he may be a little bit bigger than Amari Hampton, but he gives you agility, he gives you quickness, and he gives you track speed. He's a track guy. He ran a 10.600. If you do those things, I think it makes your football team better, right? And that's the goal, is just to make him better. Right now, you have questions on your offensive line. You have a question whether your quarterback is going to be healthy. You have questions at running back, and you have one wide receiver and questions at every other wide receiver position. I think if you answer the questions if you answer the questions, only time will tell with quarterback. We don't know if this dude's going to stay healthy or not. You answer the question at wide receiver, then you answer the question at running back. I believe the offensive line automatically becomes better once you have a running game. I think they ran block at the end of the season when they put the younger offensive line in. I think they ran block they run blocked well. Rico Dowdle rushed for 1,000 yards. If you can play off of play action, it will give your quarterback more time to deliver the ball. If CD Lamb is not double covered every play, he'll be open. Matthew Golden will be open. I think Ferguson has a better year than he did last year. He didn't have Dak. And he wasn't a big, like for Dak, Ferguson is a big target for him, right? He feeds Ferguson the football, which is, I mean, he fed Schoonmaker the ball, not Schoonmaker. He fed Dalton Schultz the ball. And last couple of years, he fed Jason Witten the ball. He likes his tight ends, and that's cool. There's a lot of quarterbacks that like their tight ends. But just having another wide receiver and having a running back just opens your offense up that much more. Makes things easier for your offensive line, right? If you have to respect the run, you can't pin your ears back and get after the quarterback as much. Does that. Second round, like I said, I'm taking a defensive tackle because I need some sort of rotation. I'm just not, I don't trust Mozzie Smith. I don't trust him. Said we won't have 1,000-yard running back. Watch. Okay. I didn't think we were going to have 1,000-yard running back this year. I didn't. But Rico Dowdle got 1,000 yards. So I don't know about this. Quarterback can't get the ball deep to a young wide receiver. He didn't have a problem getting the ball deep to CD Lamb. Maybe it's that we don't have a young wide receiver that can get open deep. Maybe this year we'll get a young wide receiver that can get open deep. Maybe that. So, Kid Cowboy says we can't afford a first round for running back or a wide receiver. So, who would you draft in the first round then? Leave it in the comments. You've been leaving a lot of comments today, so leave it in the comments. Who would you pick in the first round if you can't do that? I'm taking the wide receiver in the first round if Ashton Jeanty is not available. I'm taking the wide receiver in the first round. I would take Tatori McMillan. I truly and honestly believe if Tatori McMillan and Matthew Golden are open in the first round, or are available in the first round, I think that they take Matthew Golden because of that 4.29 speed. I do. And he's a good wide receiver. And don't get me wrong. I just like the ranginess of Tatori McMillan. I heard people talking about it on the radio yesterday that a lot of wide receivers that don't have great speed, that they're just big guys, they don't work out in the NFL. There's been a lot of those lately. I get it. I understand it. And I think that Matthew Golden, if not, would be a great pick there. Luther Burden III would be a good pick there. I think Ibuka from Ohio State would be a good pick there. There's a lot of guys that are good picks, but I just think they take Matthew Golden with the first pick. I do. He said, whose job is he taking? Whose job is who taking? Whose job would Tatori McMillan or Matthew Golden take? They would be the number 2 receiver as soon as they say their names with the 12th pick. The Dallas Cowboys select. Bam, you're the number 2 receiver. Like, whose job do you think that he's going to take? They don't even have a number 2 receiver right now. That's whose job that he's taking. I mean, come on, man. Like, come on. We got to do better than this. I think you take a wide receiver with the second pick, with the 12th pick. And I think in the second round, you take a defensive lineman. And in the third round, man, I love RJ Harvey. I do. And that's the way I would pick it. You don't have a 4th round pick. So maybe you wheel and deal. I don't know. Maybe the Cowboys trade back on that 12th pick. And I don't think that that's a bad thing either, because there's some players on down the line that you could get that could fill those holes as well. There is. You said, whose job is he taking? I guess the GOAT is supposed to be CD Lamb. And okay, I'll give you that. So any one of those other receivers that you see, that's whose job that 12th pick would take. Any one of them. All of them. That's whose job that he would take. That's a crazy. And this is the second time in 2 podcasts on the road I've had like wild arguments, not even wild discussions with people. Hey, you're entitled to your own opinion, but just these opinions, man, it said they say a lot. They're all locked in. Okay, that's good. I hope that they are. I hope for the Cowboys' sake that they are. So we'll do one more show next week, and then we are going to do a live draft show. And Kid Cowboy, you are definitely invited to that draft show. We'll do a live draft show. We'll do that with Man Down Sports. It'll be fun, man. We'll have a good time with that one. I think we'll have the full panel, and we'll just do a live draft show. We're just gonna do it on this channel, and it'll be fun, man. And we'll go first round, primetime TV. It'll be a good time, and it'll be interesting to see what these Cowboys do with this 12th pick. I got a funny feeling that they may trade back. They might, but if they don't, and I don't think it's a bad idea to trade back because I'm super duper interested in filling that 4th round void. I am. I'm super interested in filling that 4th round void because we haven't had a 4th round pick in 2 years. And you can get some value with a 4th round pick. You can. But, I don't know. There's some players that'll definitely be available down in that 20 to 25 range. If you were going to trade back, if somebody really wants somebody at 12 and they trade up to get him, that you can fill a hole there. I think one of those wide receivers, like Ohio State's wide receiver, Missouri's wide receiver, Burden and Buka, I think they'll be available around that time. You can fill that hole there. If you really want to fill the running back hole, Amari and Hampton, I think that he'll be available right in that 20 to 25 range. You can fill it there, and you can gain some draft capital. That's a good thing. I think that would be a great move if they did that. Great. But if you're going to draft with that number 12 pick, right? If it was me, I'd pick the Torrey McMillan, but I truly and honestly think the Cowboys, if those two receivers are available, I think they take Matthew Golden, and I don't blame them. I don't. So we'll do one more show. You know what, Kid Cowboy? To be honest with you, I hope you're right. I hope that you're right. I hope that Mingo is the best wide receiver in the 4th. I don't know what that means, but I hope he is as good as you think he is. I really, really do. I just have my doubts. That's all. I mean, the dude. Yeah, we'll see. You said, is that who you would pick? 6'4"? Oh, 6'4", 240. You talking about Mingo and a great edge blocker. It's funny that your biggest compliment for a wide receiver is that you said he's a great edge blocker. All right, man. I'm done. Next week, we'll probably go on Wednesday, man. We'll have one more of these draft shows, and I'll talk about some defensive players that I think that would make pretty good draft picks for the first round, including a corner, right? Because I think the cornerback is going to be an issue for the Cowboys this year. I do. I don't trust the Trayvon Diggs injury, and I do want to run the ball, Kid Cowboy. I do, and if the best compliment you have for Mingo is that he's a great edge blocker, then you go right ahead. We'll just run behind him the whole season. I just think the Trayvon Diggs injury is a lot bigger than everybody thinks that it is. I mean, there's some people that think it's humongous, but I think it's a lot bigger than we're going to anticipate it to be. I don't think that even if he does come back, he'll be the same player, and I think that you're going to have to figure out another corner for this team. And Deron Bland is playing on a contract year. So, you're going to have to figure that out. But anyway, Wednesday, we'll talk about all that stuff. Feels good to be back, man. Get the kinks out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody tuned in on the live. Kid Cowboy, man, thanks for the discussion. I appreciate it, man. It was a great discussion. And I will talk to you guys next week, man. And I'll see y'all soon. Dallas Cowboys for life, baby. Big time fans. All right, I'm going to holler at y'all soon. Peace.